which I've never really done before at this hour. So it'll be nice to see who's here. I'm not going to go for a long time, I don't think. Yes, I'm here. It's the Nazarite. I don't know if I'll be bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore now. But I'm definitely on board with just chilling out. And I have my coffee right here. Okay, I am going to go through a couple of... Hey there, somebody's here. Hello. I'm going to go through a couple of the comments that came in the last few days on... right, I had my Q&A with Yira Ha'ari, which I understand, is maybe to some controversial. So let's see. So there are a few of those. Okay, Larry Jackson asked, what does Kabbalah practically do? Now I answered, Kabbalah teaches one how the Creator is revealed, right? It basically is the different emanations of the revelation of God. I said it teaches one about oneself and one's place in creation, because we are made in the image of God. And so it's this idea that creation mirrors us, we mirror creation, and God is revealed through creation. And I told him, Kabbalah allows you to know your place in creation as it pertains to Torah, to commandments, humanity in general, right, made in the image of God. By knowing the divine revelations, we know ourselves, right? By knowing how the divine revelation comes into creation, the different relationships between the different sfirot, the different emanations, what to do when and how, right? It's a discipline. It's even a discipline if you're not talking about practically doing it as the Kabbalists do, but simply the knowledge, right? The more intellectual, if you will, Kabbalah, that teaches you about the different emanations of God and where they come into place and how they interact with each other and your place within that, what you can affect, how you need to, or what you can do, and you get to know yourself, right? Your physical body and your, let's say, spiritual, mental, metaphysical self as well. And I've found great value in learning that lore of the tree of life because it's something that, unlike the rest of the Torah, right, written and oral, all of them on different levels can teach you a lot about yourself. This is true. The idea with the Kabbalah is that it's like right there in the open on the one hand, and on the other hand, it has many levels and many layers and many closed gates and doors and paths. And so it sort of speaks to you on the level where you are at. And I don't know if that's true to all of the different ways of learning the Torah, but certainly in the ways of the Kabbalah and the lore of the 10 Sfirot, of the Tree of Life, it speaks to you to where you are. And you can... There's a lot to be learned from there, of course. Okay. Let's see. Hey, hi there and hello, says my father. Hello, Pa. That's nice. Look at you. You're over here with me, chilling. You had your coffee, I'm sure it's now 7:42 a.m. I'm sure you had your coffee a few hours ago. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam she'akol nihye b'dvaro. Right? When we eat something, when we drink something, there's a blessing, there's a prayer, there's that be here now element of it, of notice what you're doing. Affirmative, he says. Yes, indeed. Now let's continue. Clara Hafferman said, great dialogue, thanks to both participants. Combining the intellectual with the astrological and clear purpose with intuition and emotion aroused through love and awe of Hashem leads to active co-creation in Asiya, right, in this world. Since what ascends also returns, one must understand right balance in operation. Okay, let's read through that again. Combining the intellectual with the astrological and clear purpose with intuition, right? So astrological, it's not the meaning is not, let's say, pagan or other nation astrology, right? It's astrology in the sense that Sefer Yetzirah speaks of. That yes, it has to do with the different planets and stars and whatnot, but it's once again mirroring something about the divine revelation and mirroring something within yourself, right? All of those different forces that come into play, the metaphysical forces, right? Because we know the universe, right, is bound by the laws of physics, other than, black holes and stuff, which is a little different, but basically speaking, the universe is bound by the laws of physics. We, as mortal beings, are also bound by the laws of physics. The thing is that, like Morpheus told Neo, some laws can be bent, others can be broken. And for instance, like with black holes, that things bend and break there, and everything loses its physical meaning, if you will. So combining the intellectual with the astrological and clear purpose with intuition, when you have clear purpose, and when you have like that feedback from creation and those around you that you are going in the right path, then your intuition can be relied upon. And emotion, she says, then your emotion as well can be, because the emotion, right, has a lot to do with the heart, and the heart is fragile, the heart can break, the heart is soft, the heart can be also very hard, right? We know that in the Torah and in the rest of the Bible, God wants us to not be so stiff-necked, to circumcise our heart, right? There's like a sheath over our heart that stops it from accepting the divine will, the divine word, right? From really truly surrendering and submitting to the will of the Most High God. And it's spoken of a time when we will be circumcised, and our neck will soften, and our heart will be circumcised, and we will be able to truly, together as one human family, let's say, worship the Most High God. So, clear purpose and with intuition and emotion aroused through love and awe of Hashem, right? Love and awe. Chesed and din, right? The right hand and the left hand. Again, this idea of balance. It's if you have too much awe, too much fear, it can incapacitate you. If you have too much love, it can also go awry, because either one of those extremes, or when either one of those gets to some extreme, it can certainly blind you. It can certainly lead you down a dark path, all the while you thinking that you're going through the righteous path. I think the right path, by and large, for most individuals, is right down that middle, like she says. So it leads to active co-creation in Asiya, right, in this world. That idea of co-creation, right? We were made in God's image in order to imitate the ways of the divine Most High God. The idea of being a creator is something that we can do. Well, obviously, we can do it as biological creatures, as mammals, but other than that, which is a given, because animals do that as well. That idea of active co-creation, this is part of what Torah and mitzvot, right? The Torah commandments are here for the children of Israel. And for the nations, of course, there's simply either the 7 Noahide laws, if you go by that, or just the idea of be a good person, don't be a bad person, which is obviously a broad generalization, but that's what it comes down to mainly. And she says, since what descends also returns, one must understand right balance in operation. Right, so what descends also returns. There's this vibration there's this vibration that is always, well, obviously it's always happening, right? Everything is vibrating, even though things seem solid, even though this cup of coffee seems solid and the liquid, well, it's not a solid, but it seems pretty much there. It's all vibrating. It's just a question of what we can discern, what we can see, what we can perceive. And this idea of ascension and return, of descending and ascending, lemala lemata, lemata lemala, there's always a movement going on, right? Like in Jacob's ladder, in the dream of Jacob's ladder that we read a week ago. And Jacob dreams that the messengers of the Most High, the angels, are going up and down the ladder. Now, some of the commentaries say you are above the angels. If you start climbing that ladder, there's no going down for you. You can keep ascending and ascending and ascending. The thing is that for most human beings, I think, it's always push and pull, give and take, up and down. We live in a world of duality, of after eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and as such we are in a reality steeped in that good and evilness that exists within us, that exists outside of us, and it's on us to be pushing more towards the good, right, and tipping the scales of creation towards loving kindness. But the thing is that we can't escape the fact that we have this duality within us. If you only choose to operate with one of those sides, you might end up going wrong. And it is important to incorporate what the psychoanalysts called the shadow work, right? Your dark sides, the dark sides of reality, not to run away from them, but to confront them to the best of your ability. Mark. You can't do it when you're all broken and vulnerable. You'll be engulfed. But it's important to also acknowledge that you have bad sides, you have wicked sides, you have evil sides, not only in the sense of an evil inclination, but in the sense of evil potential. It's always out there. Keeping that balance, right, and careful discernment is part of what Torah and mitzvot, right, the Torah and commandments are here to do for the Hebrew people. Okay, let's see. Is it more natural and healing to poop outside? Elijah Young asked. Well, it's definitely more natural and healing. I'm not sure. Depends on where you are. You could poop outside and then be completely ridden with disease because you pooped in like in a communal poop area that's swimming with disease. But I'll tell you, first of all, most people don't squat. You need to squat to poop, sit to pee. Ideally, I think that's the healthiest from what I've known. As somebody who has pooped outside their fair share of times in mandatory service and reserve duty, there's nothing quite. Of course, sometimes it's a pain in the ass, especially in the winter. You got to take everything off and blah, 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 blah. But it's definitely more natural in the sense of that you can squat more easily. Incidentally, there's such a thing, I don't have it in my bathroom. There is such a contraption called the squatty potty that allows you to sit on the toilet and squat by elevating your legs. Like I said, I don't have it, but I know that it exists, and that's supposed to facilitate more natural pooping angles and technique, if you will, right? What's the word I'm looking for? Not technique. Anyway, it's supposed to help you poop more naturally. As for healing, it might very well be healing to poop outside, depending again on your surroundings and where you're at. If you're simply sort of in an outhouse from the 1800s, it might not be the best for healing. But if you're, let's say, in the middle of the desert or in the middle of a forest or I don't know, in some place where you can really take the time and breathe and allow it to exit with tranquility and serenity, then yes, I believe there is a healing element to that. Incidentally, our sages teach in the Talmud that there are three, is it the Talmud? I think it's the Babylonian Talmud, that there are three things that are a taste of the worlds to come or a taste of the coming world. One of those is the sun, the other one is Shabbos, the Sabbath, and the other one is pooping and peeing, which is healing and natural. It gets all of the toxins out, and it allows your body to continue with its positive motion. Greeting says yes. Will you check questions from the previous dialogue? Yes, I will. I almost did it last night, and I ended up not doing it last night. But if there were questions there, I hope to get to the previous dialogue. But if you have, you know what? If you have a question now that you recall that you would want addressed, if not answered, because what do I know? But if you want me to address anything that you may have said or others may have said, and you remember it offhand, by all means, say it now, and I'll try and address it. In the meantime, I'll go with a couple of other comments that came in the last couple of days. So, wait, there's XRP. XRP just said, wait, what did he say? XRP just wrote, here, he says this. I know you don't have many viewers, but please take this off, right? Talking about the dialogue I had with Yirahari. He said, please take it off. These teachings are restricted for the holy. Not just any sadist, wannabe righteous person can be even entertained in these teachings. This is why it gets lost in translation. Please be careful, he says. If evil people can coerce their way into faking being loving, if evil people, and they already have in some circles, learn these ways, the order will be expedited into chaos. Please take this down if you can in goodwill. I don't think it's safe, and I'll argue with this brother. He should know this as well. Now, he says, I rejected my own friends from even entertaining these books. I have to take these things to the grave because I am surrounded by goyim, right, the nations. I say goyim as those that are lost and unclean. Oh, so he doesn't mean as nations, he means those lost and unclean. And sinful with no presence of repentance or even acknowledgement of their own ways. These books are not for anyone, it can damn the person's soul, he says. This why Christ came to save us. Well, I'm not a follower of Christ, but I digress. From those wicked Pharisees, wicked rabbis, perverts of scripts, in my opinion. Now, Yirai and I, were speaking of Kabbalah Ma'asit. I brought it up, of course, that yes, it's a dangerous thing. That's why I don't partake of it. And according to him, this is uh, conversely, this is precisely, according to him, what is meant to be revealed now to bring about that total and complete redemption, if you will. I'm paraphrasing his words, of course. But this is kind of why he is revealing the secrets, the different secrets. Now, I'm still of the opinion, though I might be wrong, that the more secretive secrets are still ones that have not even been written down. Now, Yira, from what I've gathered, is about spreading the Zohar, the Tikkunei Zohar, and teaching the secrets that are written there. And I'm of the opinion, and I might be wrong again, that if it's written down, already it precludes the deeper secrets, which have not been written down throughout the generations, and which are still passed down from rabbi to pupil, master to apprentice, and so on. So I think that if things have been written down and he is merely expounding on them and sort of bringing them to light, giving his own translation, his own spin on it, while it is potentially dangerous, if people do study with the right master, and I don't know if he is the right master or not, but because I'm not a disciple of his. But I did enjoy our dialogue. I enjoyed the conversation. I don't see it simply as entertainment. It was a Q&A. I was genuinely interested in him, in his character, and in his endeavor to spread this Kabbalah Ma'asit, this practical Kabbalah, to people through different platforms. Is it supposed to be? Is it not supposed to be? I'm not to say. I have no idea. Now, as for sadist, wannabe righteous person, I'm not sure where XRP got that, because at least from our dialogue, Eli and I didn't get the impression, and I'm no judge of character, because again, who am I? But I didn't get the idea that he's a sadist, wannabe righteous person. I in a very balanced way, sort of got the idea that he has received, on his part, he feels that he received this great revelation, and he is not supposed to keep it inside. And we know that there is a commandment against a prophet. What's the word I'm looking for? There is a commandment that a prophet must speak the prophecy that he is given. And if a prophet, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, if a prophet stops himself from speaking the prophecy that he has received in righteousness, he is to be put to death. Now, again, Sanhedrin, he needs to be found guilty, that whole thing, right? It's a whole process. It's not just, oh, boom, you're dead. It's an entire process. But the point is that if you did receive the word of God, it needs to be shared. And not everybody is a prophet. People say we have no prophets in Israel these days. I'm not here to say this or that. I'm saying that in the very same vein, if you will, or maybe not the same vein, but in the same sort of way, if Yira feels that he received a revelation and it must be shared, then I don't fault him for sharing it. Now, there is something to say about the way he's going about it, and that's, I think, what XRP is talking about. But, I mean, I honestly don't know why he says that it's fake. I don't exactly know why he say. I do agree that things get lost in translation. Definitely things get lost in translation, which is why Yira speaks very highly of the Hebrew and the Hebrew letters, and he always points back to the origin, to the Hebrew origin, because he wants to get it right. At least that's what I have understood. And he says, XRP says, if evil people learn these ways, the order will be expedited into chaos. Now, there is that danger. There is always the danger of people taking these teachings, warping them, perverting them, and this has been done by Hebrews and non-Hebrews alike. The Kabbalah has been perverted forever, which is why I always say, whenever somebody asks me, I say, if you're going to delve into the teachings of the 10 Sfirot, do it with a proper master, at least at first. And when I say at first, I mean a long time. Well, a long time is relative. At first, let's say at first, because it's very, very important that people guide you through parts of the Zohar, if you will, or through their own interpretations of the Zohar, or other commentaries of the Zohar, or other books, and through that lore of the tree of life in a path which will lead you in righteousness and in truth, where you will be able to discern. Again, discernment and balance is so important. You can make a small error, and over time it becomes larger, and it can lead you down the wrong path, and it can lead you to the places where You think the wrong things and consequently act in the wrong way, and I might even be doing that myself, though I'm sort of loath to. I took a lot of care. I was very cautious, and I still am, about what I do and the way that I do it. I'm careful with my speech more often than not. I'm careful with my deeds more often than not. Even with this Nazarite ship, right? When I took it on almost 15 years ago, it was something that was gradual in the sense of only when I fully came to the realization that this is what I'm supposed to be doing did I make the vow, did I take that vow. And before that, I was living as a Nazir without taking the vow for a while. Okay, let's see. Dr. Grunwald asks, does Kabbalah address the origins of the universe? It seems we have no proof of the universe beyond our own perception, which poses a problem, much like trying to define a word by self-referencing. So yes, Kabbalah addresses the origins of the physical universe. Now, the Kabbalah does address the origin of the physical universe as an emanation where the physical reality we live in is the bottom of the tree, let's say, right? It's that place where you go from complete and pure spiritual, unattainable to the human mind, right? The top of the tree, known as the crown, all the way to the bottom, right? If we're taking the human being as that image of the tree of life, right? Where you have things that are above and outside our perception. You have things that are like the brain and the two hemispheres and the connecting bridge and the different areas of the brain that are covered, right? And inside of a skull and protected and hidden. It's not like an organ that I can see and perceive with my eyes. It's something that's hidden inside right inside in the topmost part of me. And yet it's what animates me and keeps me alive, right? The heart as well, covered and in a sheath. Now you speak of beyond our own perception, and Kabbalah seeks to expand your perception. Kabbalah means to receive. Kabbalah means to learn the ways of the Most High God and how He reveals Himself in creation, and learning how you, as the image of God, can find your place in that creation. So yes, depending on your, let's say, level, depending on your understanding, depending on your perception and your mind, Kabbalah can help expand your understanding of the universe, physical, material, metaphysical, spiritual. And when I began leaning into the lore of the Tree of Life, I found just how elastic, just how flexible this reality is. And well, let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. Now, you can read the origins of the physical universe according to Kabbalah, and you could call it a Big Bang, and you could call there are different ideas of how it came to be. There's the Lurianic approach, and there's the approaches before Rabbi Luria, right before the Lurianic teachings. Are you Jewish? Yes, I am. I am a Hebrew man. STR4 current. Okay. These two messages seem conflicting, says Yes, like Jonah who tried to escape from teaching to Nineveh. Right, he tried to escape, and he found that he could not escape. And when he was in the belly of the big fish, he prayed. He was there for 3 days, and he prayed, right? And what does he say, right? He says, he basically says, my words should come to you and to your halls. He understands, ultimately, eventually, that there's no running away from your destiny, right? There's no running away from your destiny. You can try, and you can ignore it, you can turn your back on it, you can run away from it, but it will catch up with you. Now, you can make the argument of this life and reincarnation and paying back debt and karma, shedding klipot, right, husks, shedding the skins, but eventually, ultimately, you have a job to do in this world. You have a gift to give to the world, that gift of your self-actualization. Now, for most of human history, we know we were basically just trying to survive, trying to make it through. And now, more than ever, we have that shot at self-actualization, right? That Maslowic hierarchy of needs, the pyramid of that Maslow pyramid of needs. We have a really, really awesome shot at reaching self-actualization. The idea with the Torah and the mitzvot are that even if you are barely surviving, let's say, first of all, depending on where you are on that pyramid, certain commandments may not apply to you. But as you fulfill your needs more and more, and you go up that pyramid, you are more free to engage in that life of Torah and commandments. And the Torah and the commandments, they surround the life of the Hebrew man and woman, right? Everything, and I'm not even talking about rabbinic law and halacha, which speaks of what you need to do from the moment you open your eyes in the morning to the moment you close them at night, what you should be saying, what you should be thinking, how you should be tying your shoes, how you go to the bathroom. All of that does exist, and it surrounds us and it pervades us, if that's the word. But I'm not even talking about Jewish law and technical halacha. I'm talking about the idea that the Torah speaks of the fact that what Moses said, the Torah is not beyond the great sea, the Torah is not up in the heavens, the Torah is here in your mouth, in your heart, to do it, to keep it and do it. The covenant that we have with God is not only when everything is perfect will you then be able to, no, it's throughout life, wherever you are and whoever you are, you can do what you have the ability to do. You can strive to the best of your ability to reveal God in creation through your actions, to better yourself through keeping the commandments. And even somebody who is a slave, for instance, slaves and handmaids, Hebrew slaves and handmaids are exempt from keeping the commandments. They are exempt from them, but they still can take on the Nazariteship. And that speaks, I think, volumes. I think it speaks a great deal. But I'm not only speaking of the Nazariteship right now. I just found that to be an interesting tidbit. But it's the idea that we are supposed to be free. If we take on ourselves another master that is human, we are not free to engage in the Torah and the mitzvot. Hence, we are exempt from them, from the mitzvahs. And we should be striving for freedom, not freedom from different things, but freedom to act on different things. So, like I said, while it might seem conflicting, Jonah running away didn't work out for him. He eventually, right, life caught up with him. His destiny caught up with him. And here's the thing. Our sages, if I'm not mistaken, teach that Jonah, it's not that he was in some school of prophecy under a master, studying, meditating, learning. No, he was simply at the temple as part of the mob, if you will, in jubilation, celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Booths, Sukkot. And he rose to a degree and a level of such happiness that as a result of his elation at the temple, the divine revelation, boom, came to him right then and there. It came to him seemingly without him preparing for it, and so it scared the crap out of him. He was afraid. Or it could be interpreted as him fearing the divine revelation. But you can't run away from it. You really can't. If you try, you might be successful for a while. But I think eventually, whether in this life or a next life, it will catch up with you because we each have a job to do, right? We have a gift to give to the world, paraphrasing David Data in The Way of the Superior Man. But that applies to men and women alike. You have something unique that you need to give to the world. You have something that only you can give to the world. And if you are able to reach that and expose that and reveal you to yourself in truth and in righteousness, and then act in such a way where you will be able slowly but surely, first within your limited sphere of influence and then grow it more and more. If you are able to give yourself to the world, to give your gift to the world, that's your destiny. And if you're a prophet, then it has to do with prophecy. Hang on, I need to open the door. Hello, I didn't see your message. I didn't listen to your message. Oh, okay, that's fine. Welcome back. Okay, let's see. 6-7, says Manium. 6-7 indeed. Yes, a personal experience could enhance the priori understanding. A personal experience could enhance the a priori understanding. Well, yes, your subjective personal experiences are part of what set you up for different things. So, I mean, like we spoke of Jonah, right? He was going through the experience of jubilation at the festival at the temple, And as a result of that, as a direct result of that, of his actions and his merriment and his mirth in righteousness, the divine revelation came to him. Yes, asks, is Metatron, I'm assuming you wanted to say Metatron. Is Metatron a stable in Kabbalah? So yes, that angel is one of the higher angels, but angels in and of themselves, angels are messengers, angels are servants, right? Now, Memtet is unique in the sense that our sages teach that this is actually Chanoch, right? Chanoch, the son of Yered, who was taken away by God. Chanoch, the son of Yered, was taken away by God. He did not die a natural death. So, in that sense, Memtet, they say, is the angel that is in charge of the 6 days of creation, right? He was given this very high task of being a sort of, you know what? I mean, they say that it's the voice of God, let's say. And there is something to that. It's a revelation of God that permeates the 6 days of creation. And there are, that angel is twofold, right? There's a part of him, let's say, first of all, there are two ways of writing that name, one with a yod and one without the yod. And that facilitates two different facets of that angel and its task and its purpose. But yes, Memtet is an angel that is a stable in Kabbalah. Yes, the kids are at school. Yes, Elijah was taken alive as well, right? Right? And Elijah became the angel of the covenant, meaning that he didn't die a natural death. He shed his mortal clothing and he was given angelic clothing. But he, right, again, he received a different task. Now we know that basically everything that lives dies. And there is this part of the universe, physical and spiritual alike, where when we partake of the fruit of the tree of life, death will be taken away for all of us, right? Death will be taken out of the equation, and we will start that life as we were meant to, right? After we partake of that fruit. Dr. Grunwald asks, what does it mean to receive the divine revelation? To receive the divine revelation, as I understand it, means opening up, it means first of all creating a vessel, right? Much like this coffee is in a mug, and if it was just pouring out of nowhere, no, I place it in a mug in order to facilitate the drinking. So, to receive the divine revelation is first and foremost to create a vessel for it to dwell in. Whether it's a body, whether it's a temple, you know, things of that nature. So first of all, before you receive, you need something to receive into. And next, when you are to receive the divine revelation, as I understand it, it means to understand in a way that is incontrovertible to you the ways in which God is operating in the world and the ways in which you ought to be operating in the world and the ways in which those two things come together. Now, let's take the classic revelation, right? When we received the revelation on Sinai, when we received the Torah standing at the foot of the mountain, there was the great horn, right? The ram's horn, and there was the thunder, and there was smoke and fire, and that was a revelation for all the people to see. And there was a revelation of a voice. And there was a revelation from God through that godly voice, and there was a revelation through Moses. In that very same way, that revelation can come to you on a smaller scale, right? Inside of you, inside your mind, inside your body. So, to receive the divine revelation, first and foremost, for the Hebrew person, is Torah and commandments, because that's what was revealed to us. If you're a prophet, then you receive it through a different channel, right? It's all about how the divine revelation relates to you. But what does it mean to receive it? It means making a vessel, a proper vessel to receive it. And it means being able to discern. It means being able to be careful. right, with what you do. This is what the Torah and the commandments facilitate, because we are all meant to be prophets eventually, right? What does Yoel say, the prophet Yoel? He says that then I will pour my spirit upon all flesh. To pour God's spirit upon all flesh. We will all, nobody will have to say, where is God? No, it will be evident. It will be self-evident to all of us where the divine revelation is and how it comes into creation. So when I say receiving the divine revelation, there's that collective revelation and there's an individual revelation. And it changes according to you and according to your vessel and according to what you can take, let's say. But first and foremost, it's Torah and commandments. That's what I see it as. But he isn't such included in Kabbalah. Well, I don't know what Kabbalah you speak of, but the angel Memtet is definitely included. Is definitely spoken of a ton in the Zohar and in the different books pertaining to the angelic choirs and the way that they interact with the world. And he is all over Pardes Rimonim by Rav Moshe Cordovero. And it's, right, because he is an angel which acts as a messenger that facilitates the 6 days of creation, if you will. And they say that his name is the same name of his master. So they both carry the same name, right? What does God tell Moses? When he tells him in the Torah, he says, Kishmi b'kirbo, my name is inside of him, right? When he speaks of an angel that will lead you to the promised land. And he says, don't go against that angel, right? Oh, wait, I'll give you the chapter and verse for a moment. It is Exodus 23:21. Hang on, I'll read it in the JPS Tanakh. The JPS Tanakh, Exodus 23. Behold, I send an angel before thee, to keep thee by the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Take heed of him, says Moses, and hearken unto his voice. Be not rebellious against him, for he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about. This is the essence of Metatron, right? Again, there's two ways to see that, but let's just go with this one, right? It is an angel that is a messenger that is supposed to lead us, right? Lead us through those 6 days of creation into the Sabbath, if you will. We are to take heed, we are to hearken unto his voice, and not be rebellious. He will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. This idea of not pardoning the transgression. There are revelations of God which would pardon transgression, and do pardon transgression. This particular angel is one which does not pardon transgression. That's why you need to be most cautious. I will send an angel before thee to keep thee. So on the one hand, it's an angel which is of protection. Because, again, the 6 days of the week, to know how to navigate them before you reach that Sabbath, right? The 6 days of creation, the 6 days of toil, the 6 days of labor. It's a very, very long and winding path, a narrow path. Rabbi Nachman says, right, the whole world is a very narrow bridge, and the important thing is to never fear, to not fear at all, to have no fear. So he says, behold, I send an angel before thee to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. So we see that it's an angel of protection. We see also that Moses said that the place is already prepared for you, if only you will be able to undertake the righteous journey. That means taking heed. That means hearkening to the voice. That means not being rebellious, for he will not pardon, for my name is in him. So what does that mean for a name to be in an angel? It means that the name to the angel is like a soul to the body. It's that spiritual part. Now, the angel is a spiritual creature, but there's an even deeper, more elusive spirituality to the angel, which is the name of God that is inside of him. And there are many different names animating many, many different angels. And this particular angel that he speaks of, right? And he says, and if thou shalt indeed hearken unto his voice, he continues, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries. Meaning that very same power, that very same force that would consume you if you are rebellious, that would that would not pardon you for your transgressions, if you're able to navigate that winding, narrow bridge, and you will be able to reach a place where that very power, that very force, will be able to be an asset and an ally to you. Now, I'm not talking about adversaries and enemies. These things that Moses speaks of about the promised land, we see them also as spiritual things, right? The adversaries and the enemies that I have within me, and I definitely do, in me, right? Inside and outside of me. If I am able to navigate my own inadequacies and my own faults and frailties, if I am able to not be rebellious just for the sake of rebelling, if I am able to take heed, if I am able to hearken, I will be able, much like them, right, to get to that promised land. Now, it's an ideal that keeps getting further away the more you approach it. Right? That promised land is something that Moses did not see, right? He did not get to the promised land. And he was supposedly, right, the father of the prophets, the person that got the most, the deepest, the closest divine revelation ever, and yet he did not reach the promised land. And that speaks to us as individuals, as human beings as well. That ideal, that promised land is something that keeps getting farther and farther away as you approach it, because there's always more to do. There's always more to do. There's always, right, if you think you reached it, something else is given to you, a new task, a new job, a new understanding, and you're able to delve deeper and deeper into yourself, that is, and have more understanding. But that angel, right, that he speaks of, that is in part, let's say, Metatron. That's part of that. And when I say that name, I don't mean to invoke it. I usually say Memtet. And I'll say just very, very briefly that I have had once, maybe twice, a very brief interaction with that angel. Or with what I perceived to be that angel, many, many years ago. Right, if you're speaking of divine revelation, part of how the divine revelation comes is through this angel. And I had there was, I'll put it this way. I felt that there was a sort of cover, and then the cover was lifted. That cover was the angel. I felt its presence. And when it was lifted, when that cover was lifted, I was able to perceive something that I can't explain in words. But let's just call it love. Let's just call it love. Let's just call it this feeling of unconditional love, that euphoria that is part of that almost biochemical reaction of falling in love, right? That idea of complete surrender, complete submission, of wow. Oh wow. Awe. It was love and awe. I speak about Elijah, says yes. Okay. So they say that Chanoch is Pinchas, Pinchas is Eliyahu, meaning that this idea of people coming again in, let's say, reincarnation in order to fulfill a task, angels receiving different tasks. We know that when Abraham received the three angels in the Torah portion of Vayera, right after circumcision, when he was outside his tent, after that covenant, they say that an angel can only do one job at one time. An angel can't do multiple things at once. So one of those angels was there to tell Abraham about the birth of Isaac that will take place. One of those angels was sent there to heal him and his wound from circumcision, and one was sent in order to bring havoc to Sodom and Gomorrah, right, to Sodom and Amorah. The divine messengers are always around us. It's a question of perception. The demonic messengers and the kind angelic messengers, let's say, exist even right now in parallel here in this room. In this room here right now, in this physical universe, there is another layer, many other layers. One of them is that metaphysical layer of the angelic realms, let's say, right? When we speak of heichalot, of different halls, these are things that exist in parallel to our life here in this world. Metaphysical, spiritual, but exist in parallel, in a place that is outside time and place that corresponds to our time and place, to our world that is bound by the laws of physics. And when we speak of what's known as Eden and Gehinam, when we speak of the higher Eden and the lower Eden, when we speak of what's known in Hebrew as Tophet or Sheol or Gehinam, this is not the Christian hell. Let's just say that right now. But these all exist here in this world in parallel. It all comes down to what it is that you can perceive, right? And we know that there were different degrees of perception, different degrees of revelation, different degrees of prophecy. All of them have to do directly with the way that you lead your life, with the commandments that you fulfill, with the type of person that you are. And the more that you strive to become a good person, the more that God's revelation will be able to be revealed to you. And again, you can see it as divine revelation, or you can see it as hokey nonsense. You can believe in God or not believe in God, and a higher power or not a higher power, call it this, that, or the other. When I say that, I mean the Creator. I mean that force that animates all, that pervades all. And I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. Right? I have no hope of knowing God because I'm a creation, and as such, I will never know the Creator. So that's right off the bat. I know that all I have is revelation, and then it's simply a question of striving to make myself into such a vessel that will be able to receive the divine revelation to such a degree that I will be able to better my ways and tip the scales of the world in kindness and righteousness and truth and justice and peace and all of those wonderful attributes and virtues. I'm failing at that, by the way. Let's make that very clear. I say that every time. But I hope and pray daily that I'll be able to overcome my evil inclination, that I will be able to conduct myself in such a way where I will eventually be able to overcome the obstacles that are stopping me from revealing me to myself, from revealing greater divine revelation. And I know for a fact, because it's my life and in my own lived experience, that when I've experienced the divine revelation, when I continue to experience divine revelation in everything and anything, whether it's meditation, whether it's spontaneous prayer, whether it's playing with my kids, learning Torah, being on a live stream and discussing these matters, it depends on how you perceive them. And I know that it has helped me greatly, genuinely, to better my ways. Can you do it without God? Yes, of course. Can you do it without the Torah, without the commandments? Yes, of course. But the Hebrew man and woman, this is part of what we were given. This is our tradition. This is our way. I hold it. It's very dear to me, even if I suck at it. Okay. So where did Moses go? Moses died. He was a human being, born of a woman, and he died. That's where he went. He went to that place, to that waiting room that we call Eden. Now, again, there's a higher Eden and a lower Eden, but he went to that waiting room, right? Eden is right now a waiting room, what people call heaven or paradise, or it's a waiting room, right? We're not quite there yet. We still have a job to do. We have not partaken of the fruit of the tree of life. And the tree of life and its fruit was put under guard, but never forbidden. Never was there a commandment not to partake of the fruit of the tree of life. Never, ever. The only thing that happened was that the path to the tree of life and its fruit was put under guard. And I believe, and I've spoken of this in previous live streams, that a person, first of all, as an individual, can reach that fruit of the tree of life here through Torah and commandments. And that those guards can become guides, right? The cherubs and the flaming turning sword, they can point you in the right direction. They can become, instead of people who are in charge with keeping you out, let's say, and keeping the path from anyone finding it, if you come there to them, they will guide you if you are worthy. Okay, let's see. Yes says, well, if Kabbalah or what preceded it are obligatory for divine revelation. No, like I said, not obligatory. Not obligatory. How did Lord speak through Balaam? Well, again, not obligatory. But first of all, Bilam was the Moses counterpart in the nations. He was a great prophet and a great sage in the dark arts, if you will. He was very learned in these ways of the other side, the Sidra Achra, the left side. And much like Moses was the father of prophets in goodness, if you will, on the right side, I mean on the middle pillar, being that great bridge between the top of the tree of life and the bottom seven, Bilam was his Goyish counterpart. He was on the same level as Moses, but on the other side of the coin. That's how he spoke through him. So it's not obligatory. You can receive divine revelation without it. You can receive divine revelation simply by being a good person. In the lore of the prophet Elijah, Tana Deve Eliyahu, it says, right, that the sky and the earth can bear witness that according to a person's deeds, the spirit of sacredness or Holy Spirit will rest upon him or her. It all goes about how you behave, how you act, how you speak, what you do. If you act in such a way, right, in wholeness, in purity, and I use that term loosely because people use purity in different ways. There's always ritual uncleanliness, ritual impurity. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about leading a righteous life to the best of your ability, and striving to better your ways, to be more righteous, not holier than thou, but more righteous. If you strive to do that, then even if you don't study the lore of the tree of life, things will be revealed to you. If you simply engage with the Torah in a very straightforward and simple way, engage with the commandments that you can, with which you can engage in their time, in their place, in your way, right? Things that come before you, you're not lazy about it, you're able to go and do it for the sake of unification, right? For the sake of bringing together that divine revelation of the masculine and the feminine and bringing new revelations into the world through your actions. If you do it like very, very plainly, very simply, then the spirit of sacredness, Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, can rest upon you and will rest upon you. There are many people who would say, hell no, I know many good people and they never claim to receive any divine revelation, and fair enough. But I'm saying that the potential is always there. The potential is always there. Like Moses said, that place is already prepared. If only you will be able, if only you will go to it, if only you will shoot for it. So you need to know what you're aiming at, right? You need to have that goal. You need to have an aim. But even if it's only I am aiming to do as the divine commanded me, even that is enough, right? That very simple, very straightforward way of thinking about it, that in itself is a great virtue. It means that you don't need to complicate matters, if you will. You're going on the straight and narrow path, and that suffices. That is enough. Dr. Grunwald says, I apologize if my superficial understanding, but how do you conceptualize the divine? So I don't know the divine. All I know is how the divine reveals itself to me. If I can utter it, if I can speak of it, if I can conceptualize it with any of my senses, it already is not God, but a revelation of God. So I don't know God, right? So I don't conceptualize the divine. I conceptualize divine revelation through the tree of life, through nature, through Torah. But all of that has nothing to do with God. It's only the revelation of God, right? Just if I stand in front of a mirror, it may be the spitting image of me, but is it me? No, it's a reflection of me, down to the tiniest detail, but it's still just a reflection. And in the very same way, this creation and all of the different worlds reflect the different attributes of the Most High God. But are they God? No. Only reflections, only mirror images. Let's put it this way. Can the man in the mirror truly know me? No. A reflection cannot know me. A reflection is merely a reflection. And yet, I, as the one who is looking, can perceive that when I'm looking into this screen right now, I can see my face. I can see this shirt. I can see my beard, my glasses, my mug of coffee, the ring on my finger. But is it really there? No, it's just pixels. It's all pixels. It's not really me. It's a reflection of me. It's a broadcast. It's a projection of me. A very, very accurate one, but still, nevertheless, highly flawed, highly pixelated. And it's a great reflection, but I'll never make the mistake of thinking that that's truly me in that mirror, right? In that mirror, in that screen. That reflection is a great one, but it's still not me. And in the very same way, that's how I see all of the divine revelation. But by knowing the screen, right? If I have some schmutz on my face and I'm looking at this screen right here, I can go, oh, I have schmutz on my face, and do what I need to do to get rid of it. So it can teach you a lot. The reflection in the mirror can teach you a ton about yourself. But you need to know how to approach it. Don't mistake it for being you. You can use it, right? It can be a tool. It can be an assistance. It can be a way of showing you the error of your ways or where you are doing right. But it should never be mistaken for being actually me. And I don't know God. All I know is God's reflections. All I know is God's mirrorings. All I know is God's emanations and revelations. So, okay, let's see. For example, how do you understand the nature of angels and the events described in the Torah? So the Torah has different levels, Dr. Grunwald. Angels are servants. Angels are messengers, right? We have the different worlds of creation, 5 of them. Angels are created in a specific world. Most of them inhabit that area. Some of them come down here because they are part of the lower choirs, so they interact with people here. But basically, they are servants, they are messengers, they are gatekeepers, right? And they each have their own unique task. They each have their own unique name. Now, if you're interested in angelic lore, there are many books that speak of the different angels, their purpose, their task, their job, what happens when you encounter them, who you can invoke, what you need to do to invoke them. These are all things, right? The practical Kabbalah is not. I'm not interested in that, or I'm interested, but I don't study it, and I don't definitely don't practice it. For me, it stays in the level of the intellect. For me, it stays in the level of how am I supposed to better myself through these teachings. Yes, says, this feeling of your experience, I have no such moment. Some born-again Christians are said to once feel it. I can see why people who describe it as being born again would describe it as such. Yes. The thing is that we are constantly, the Torah is telling us to constantly be born again, right? Chadashim lebakarim rabba emunatecha. It's like each and every morning when we wake up, we are born again. The soul, the part of the soul, the part of our psyche, the part of our soul that left comes back. And in that sense, we truly are born again. And the fact that we have awoken, the fact that we wake up in this body means we still have hope. We still have a prayer. We still have a job to do. If our job was done, we would have been gone. But if I'm awake here and now speaking to you, it means I still have a job to do. And it means that the Most High God has faith in me that maybe today will be the day where I will be able to tip the scales a little bit more on the side of righteousness, on the side of kindness, on the side of doing the right thing at the right time and in the right place, in the right manner. And eventually tip the scales for all creation. All right, our sages teach us in the lore of our fathers in the Mishnah. They say that a person should always see himself as on a very strict balance, always on a on the right. And if you do a good deed, great, you just tip the scales to good. And if you do a bad deed or a transgression, then that's not so good because you just tipped the entire world on the side of evil, if you will. That idea of always being in balance and having the next act, the next deed, the next word, the next time be the thing that might tip the scales. This is part of what is pushing us all the time to better our ways. Now, it of course needs to be done in such a way that you're not feeling incapacitated and overwhelmed and so vulnerable and so, right? How can I undertake this great task every single moment, every single thought, every single deed, every single word? It's like, oh my God, that's so huge. How can I, a stupid little dumbass from the Middle East, how the hell am I supposed to tackle this? And yet, nevertheless, we are meant to tackle this very thing. It says in the Talmud that when God takes evil and death away and slaughters the angel of death, if you will, there will be the righteous will see evil as this huge mountain, insurmountable. And the wicked will see it as a tiny little thing. The righteous will say, how are we expected to surmount and climb this insurmountable and unclimbable mountain? How are we supposed to navigate this? And the wicked would say, oh crap, how could we not take care of this tiny little thing? How could we not overcome that? So, according to your deeds, according to your dealings and doings, that's how, let's say, wickedness will reveal itself to you in due time, at least according to Talmud. Now, it doesn't have to be precisely, actually, literally that, but it's a way of conceptualizing it. It's a way of thinking about it. I never learned of Prophet Balaam. Very interesting. Yes, that's part of what, when the Goyim, if the nations ever say, well, if we had prophets, then we would be, and yeah, you did have prophets. In fact, right now, when Israel doesn't have proper prophets, it's the nations who have prophets, right? They say that prophecy was given to children and to those who are mentally unbalanced, children and fools, children and people who are sort of, let's say, neurodivergent, and I use that term loosely. Yes says, so if we no longer, even for an instant, recognize us in reflection or a familiar person standing in front of us, what has been destroyed? I don't understand. If we no longer, even for an instant, recognize us in reflection or a familiar person standing in front of us, what has been destroyed? I don't quite understand the question, but I'll try and tackle it. First of all, if you're standing in front of the mirror and you don't recognize yourself, and you're of sound mind and body, maybe that's something that is supposed to tell you something about that you're living wrong. And I mean, not objectively, completely, absolutely. I don't believe in absolutes. The only absolute is the Most High God. Everything else is up for debate. If you're looking, if you don't recognize your reflection, if you don't see a familiar person looking back at you, if you are standing in front of the mirror and saying, I have no idea who that is in the mirror and what it is a reflection of, and again, once again, if you are sane, if you will, psychologically healthy and of sound mind and body, and you don't recognize yourself, maybe that's your inner self telling you you are not all that you could be. You are better than this. You need to do better. You can do better. People say a lot of times that when they're on a psychedelic trip, right? People on acid, people on shrooms, and so on. They say that they caught a glimpse of themselves in the mirror and they became very afraid. I make it a point, at least once in every trip that I've ever taken. I haven't taken many, but I have. I make it a point to stand naked in front of the mirror. Ideally a full-length mirror or near full length, or I make it a point, if I can't be naked in front of a mirror, I make it a point to stand in front of a mirror and look into my eyes. Thankfully, there has never been a time where I looked in front of myself naked or stared myself in the face on any psychedelic trip where I was fearful. It always filled me with love. It always filled me with positivity. It always filled me with, yes, you are flawed and you are frail and fragile and screwed up, but you can do better. And despite all of your faults and all of your failings, you are striving to do better. That's what that reflection always told me, each and every time. And I don't think I'm kidding myself, and I don't think that I'm lying to myself, and I don't think I'm telling myself a story that I want to hear. I think that if, now of course it depends on dosage, set and setting, but I've always made it a point to look at myself in the mirror. I've always made it a point, if I can, to stand naked, completely naked in front of the mirror. Because, again, there's a lot that you can discern from your reflection, even if it's only a reflection. So that's why I make it a point to do that. I believe it is always and ever has been a very teaching moment, if only in the sense of, well, here I am, just a simple dumbass. That's all I am. It's all I'll ever be, unless I get my act together and elevate myself, unless I get my act together and be able to go above that level of dumbass, and always still remain a dumbass, let's be very clear. I want to keep my feet firmly on the ground and my head in the highest clouds. That's where we are meant to be. We are meant to be like that, like the ladder in Jacob's ladder, right? From the earth to the heavens. Great shirt, by the way. Yes, yes, I love this shirt. My wife, I think my wife, no, my mother-in-law, I think got it for me. My wife or my mother-in-law. Truly the attitude and spirit of a tzaddik. Well, I am no righteous person. I still have a ton of things to work on. I strive for righteousness. I fail at it. But the way I see it is, at least I'm failing towards something good, right? What did Beckett say? He said, right, fail again, fail better. Right? You fail and you fail and you fail. But hopefully you'll be failing better. And there's that phrase, right? The master has failed more times than the student has even tried. You can't achieve mastery without failure. You cannot achieve it. If it's easy come, then it's easy go. What did the sages say in the Mishnah? Right? Yagata umatzata ta'amin. If you put in the work and you attain, then you can believe it. But if you don't put in the work and you attain it, just as easily it could be taken away. And the real attaining is not the end goal, it's the journey. Because like I said, that ideal is something that is forever moving away from us. The more you come near it, it's like an eye floater, right? If you try to focus on it, whoop, it goes in a different direction. Hey, Donnie Dorfel is here. Hello from the Netherlands. I lived in the Netherlands for 3 years. So hello. Hello to you. Good morning, good morning. On that note, I think I'm going to say goodbye. It's been just over an hour. I hope this was of some value. You know what? Maybe I'll just stay till I finish my coffee. I think I'll stay till I finish my coffee, which will be very soon, but nevertheless. Yes, says you are already wise. I think, again, it's not something I am. It's something I'm striving towards. I would love to embody that wisdom, but I know for a fact that for all of my wisdom, and I'm mainly regurgitating things that I've learned. I try to act on them and embody them, to be sure, but I'm mainly regurgitating things that I've learned. I love to put my own spin on them. I love to say them in my own words, but make no mistake, I am no sage and I am no wise man. I'm just a simple dumbass trying to navigate this world. More so, trying to navigate the world within the world, right? In the deep, nasty, stinking funk of creation. The Nazarite is not meant to be, a guru on the mountain. Some of them are. But most Nazarites that I know of live in this world. Most of the Nazarites, that's why we are still, right, taking a wife, having kids. Because the Nazarite, the Hebrew people at large, right, we are supposed to separate ourselves from the nations in some ways, but deeply, deeply immerse ourselves in the physical world, right, in creation. Right? We're not supposed to hide away from everything. We're supposed to elevate this physical world. We are supposed to elevate our physical self. We are supposed to allow that divine revelation to permeate everything around us. Right? And to bring unification to that masculine and feminine divine presence. Whether it's through the temple of our bodies, whether it's through the physical temple or tabernacle. Those are all there to facilitate the union of the divine masculine and feminine presence. We embody both. To give things their proper time and place, I really hope and pray and wish, for whatever good that is, that if I do have some wisdom, that it will be able to elevate me, and so I will be able to have that wisdom not stay in the ether of the intellect, but to bring it down into creation, here, now, right? And when I press end live, that I will be able to take that wisdom and not have it stay over here. I want to make it part of my life, ongoing, constant. In some ways, I have been successful. Maybe in many ways, but I still have a lot to work on. I will always have something to work on, but I definitely know that I have a lot to work on. I mean, whether it's my anger, whether it's my temper, whether it's my lust, there is always something to work on. But Lord knows I am trying. And I won't even say I'm trying my best, because I don't know that for a fact. And I think that sometimes I don't try my best. This is in part why I do this. It always enlivens me. It never fails to give me a good boost of positive energy. And that's important. It's important because we are surrounded by a world of good and evil. So it's important to grab the goodness when we can, right? Like Rabbi Nachman says in Likutei Moharan, to grab mitzvahs, right? Whenever they come your way, to grab them, to take them, because you never know when it will come by you again. Okay. Dr. Grunwald says, thank you very much. Very inspiring. I hope to come back next live. I appreciate it, man. Also, are you a medical doctor? Are you a doctor of philosophy? Are you any kind of doctor at all? Do let me know. Yes asks, what are you seeing about Gaza future situation? Well, I would love for us to come together in peace as brothers, right? Isaac and Ishmael. Or at the very least, cousins, Jacob and Ishmael. I think that when the terrorist groups put down their arms and surrender their weapon and not try to destroy us, I think that if the Arab Muslim world around us will be able to accept Israel as being here, we are a thorn in their sides. Because if the covenant of Israel still is here, it means, for whatever reason, it means that their covenant is lessened as far as they're concerned. And we must either convert to Islam or be put to death. That's the way they see it. Right? There's Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam, right? There's the place of Islam and the place of the sword. That's what there is. It's very binary in Islam, or at least in the area here. Very, very binary. And that's a problem. It's a very big problem, because we are here. We're not going anywhere. Neither are they. So I think that we need to make peace. And Israel has tried. Oh my God, Israel has tried to make peace. Peace is made with enemies. Many times peace is made at the tail end of a war. And hopefully, through the tragedy that occurred on both sides, we will be able to make real peace, to de-radicalize both sides, to come together in understanding, to build a bridge, to find common ground, to build on, to build off of. Because if we make peace here, real peace, true peace, even if it's tenuous at first, like we have with Jordan, Egypt, people in the Abraham Accords, even if it's somewhat tenuous, if we can build a bridge, however small, we can work from there to bring true peace and stability. And we are here not just to survive. We are meant to thrive here, all of us. I'm sick of survival mode. I'm sick of being in survival mode. I'm sick of being, all of us here are sick of being in a constant state of emergency. And that's technically what we are. And always in a state of emergency. Always at the level of a low-level battle, a battle between wars. Always. Look, Golda Meir said it best. When the nations around us put down their arms, we will have peace. If we put down our arms, we will be annihilated. Right? There will be no Israel. So, I think I'll end with that. It was lovely sharing a cup of coffee with you. I think this is one of the first times, maybe the first time, that I went live at like around 7:30 a.m. It's now 10 to 9 a.m. I need to get to work, working from home today. So a good time to make a little breakfast and get to work. I hope and pray that there was, at least some value here. I deeply appreciate your time, your kind and gentle attention. I appreciate you help me, you educate me, you help me think things through. And I really do hope that we will be able to bring all of this, right? I've been speaking for like an hour and 15 minutes, give or take. I hope that you found some value in it, and I hope that we will be able to bring things down into the physical world. I hope that you have a good day, a good night, whoever you are, wherever you are. Those watching now, those watching later, I really do appreciate the likes, the subs, the views. It's lovely, it's wonderful. And I'll see you on the next live stream. Until then, have a great day. Goodbye from Jerusalem.